Okay, so now before restarting the game when the player died, we need to respawn the enemies from different location on the map. So for that what we will do, right here in the enemy scripts we will create another C# script by the name of enemy spawner, and also let's create an empty game object right here, and if we select it we will simply first of all reset the transform of it. So reset it, and we will simply now rename this to enemy spawner. And now let's just simply attach the enemy spawner script to it, and now right here we will create another game object by the name of spawn point one, and let's just take it with the red color and move this right here. Okay, right here. And now let's just simply duplicate this and rename this to spawn point 2 and change the values to minus, from minus to plus, like this. So this will be the first spawn position and this will be the second spawn position. Now let's just open up the enemy spawner script. So right here we will remove both of these functions, and first we will create a variable which will be by the name of instance. Then we will have a serialized field and another variable by the name of enemy prefab. Then the next variable will be the new enemy. Then the next two will be a spawn position which will be transform, and then this one will be the serialized field which will be enemy spawn limit, and it will be 10. So we will spawn 10 enemies in this game, or actually let's just change this to 7. After this we will have another one by the name of spawn enemies, and this will be a list because we will have 7 enemies, so that's why we need a list for it. After this we want to set the spawn time, the minimum spawn time and the maximum spawn time. So for that right here we will create a serialized field, then private float. The min spawn time will be 2f and the max spawn time will be 5f. Then right down below we will create a void awake function, and in here what we will do is to say if instance is equals to null, then the instance will be equals to this. Then we will have a start function, so private void start, and in here we will say invoke. I hate when the Visual Studio give me suggestion by it on. Okay, so in here we will type spawn enemy, and then we will select a random position to spawn the enemy from. So for that we will type random dot range, and the range will be minimum spawn time and the maximum spawn time. Okay, sorry, this is for the spawning time, not the spawning position. Then after this we will create another function which will be spawn enemy, and inside this function we will say if the spawn enemy dot count is equals to the enemy spawn limit, then we will simply return. Okay, it means that if the enemy spawns are equals to 7, then we will simply return and don't spawn any more enemies. Then after this we will say new enemy, and this will be equals to instantiate, and we will instantiate the enemy prefab. Then the spawn position, in here we will say random dot range, the first one will be 0, and then the second one will be spawn position dot length. After this, right here we will type dot position, and then contrarian dot identity. Then after this we will spawn a new enemy, so for that we will type spawned enemies dot add and then new enemy. After this, down below we will simply say invoke spawn enemy random dot range, the min spawn time and the max spawn time. Now let's just save this, get back to Unity, and in here let's just load these two, and let's add the enemy spawner script right here. Okay, and if we do this and now simply drag and drop these right here. Okay, and now if we go inside the prefab, we need to attach the enemy prefab right here, and let's just remove this enemy that we have in the game, so delete it. Okay, right here just delete this from here, change this to 0, and we need to paste that right here in the spawn position. So select these both two and drag and drop this in here. After this, we need to get back to the Visual Studio, and right down below we need to create a function, and in that function we will know if the enemy dies or not. So for that we will type public void enemy died, and in here we will say again object, we will pass the enemy, then we will say spawned enemies dot remove, and we will remove the enemy. That's it. And also we need to inform that the enemy spawner died. So for that, in the enemy health script right here, after this kill the enemy, we will say enemy spawner dot instance dot enemy died. This is the function which we created right now, and we will pass the game object. And now if we save this, get back to the enemy spawner, and right here we will just cut this from here, and we will move this before this if condition, because first we will spawn the enemy and then we will check if the enemy spawn limit is reached to 7 or not, and then we will add a new enemy. So now if we save this, get back to Unity, and now we have to spawn position. So now if we play the game and the enemy is spawned, as you can see, now let's shoot 3 bullets and let's see. Okay, he's not dead, let me just shot him again. And now as you can see right now, new enemies are spawning every 2 to 5 seconds, and basically they will now kill me. Okay, come on, kill me. Yeah. Okay, so now as you can see, spawning the enemies now work. So now we can spawn and kill enemies, and now the enemies can kill us too. And in the next video we will work on this enemy kill counter. So when we kill an enemy, we will have a score showing right here that enemy killed 1, 2, 3, and etc, etc. So we will do that in the next video. So see you guys in the next one.